Hi everyone, it's Justine here from House of Mahalo. Thank you so much for joining me. So I'm coming on today to do my video for Rach and Bella Craft's recent collaboration. It's currently ongoing, we've just started, so you haven't missed anything if you've not seen the videos yet. So all of the information about the collaboration will be in the description box. I'm going to briefly talk through a little bit about it, but I do recommend checking out Rachel's video that she put up the other day, which explains everything in more detail. But for now, all I'm going to say is the idea behind this collaboration is to put a little bit of a spotlight on British junk journalers who are doing YouTube videos for all of you lovely lot. So we've basically, throughout the collaboration, partnering up with other channels. So my partner is Angela Kerr. If you haven't come across her yet, you're going to love her stuff, so do check her out. And essentially we had to choose a tutorial from our partner and recreate the project or do something inspired by it, and vice versa. So Angela has already put her video up inspired by one of my projects, so hint, sneaky peek, go check it out, it's wonderful. But anyway, so yeah, we're partnering up through the collaboration. And as part of this, Rach and Bella Crafts have kindly provided us with a digital kit we could use for the projects if we wanted to. And if you like the look of the papers, you can currently get, I believe it's 40% off from their website. As I said, all of this will be linked in the description box, including Angela's video that inspired this project. It's one of her exciting envelopes projects. So yeah, if you like envelopes, you're gonna like what she puts together. So of course, once I saw that she was my partner, I knew that I wanted to do something with envelopes. So this is what we're going to be making in this video. Now, the original video from Angela, she was using some really cool papered doilies, which I did not have. So I basically tried to put a spin on the project to do something inspired by it, but I did have to change it up in relation to the papers that I was using and all of the supplies that I have. But it's a very cool project. Basically, it is an envelope flip out with loads of pockets. So we've got a pocket here, a pocket here. We've got a pocket in the top here that goes all the way down. And the idea of this is you glue it onto your page like so that we get this little flip out for another pocket. And then on the other page, side of the page, you glue this top and bottom to give you this side tuck. Isn't it fabulous? It's a wonderful project, lots of pockets, interactive, all the things that we love. And I've used some of the blue papers from the kit to make it go with some of my bluebird stuff. So that is how this project has turned out. So if you would like to see how easy this project is, as well as fun, please do stick around. I'm gonna show you the tutorial now. So for this project, we're going to use an envelope, and you can use envelopes of different sizes for this project. The only thing to bear in mind is you want enough width that when we fold back the flip out, we're folding it back by a good inch, inch and a half, that sort of size. So that's just what you need to bear in mind for that, but you can use, little, large envelopes. This is a 6x4, the type that you'll get in a card making kit. So the first thing that we're going to do is fold back our flip out. So I've got the flap side on the front here. I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to fold this flip out back as far as I can go, so that this sort of like pointy bit is near the end of my envelope here. I don't do measuring, so I do things by eye, but if you want to measure how much you need to fold back, then of course you can do that. And whilst we're here, we're just going to just smidge that down with our bone folder. There we go, just to give that a nice crisp edge. And this is essentially the shape of the whole project. So these parts in here are going to be our pockets. This is our flip out, and then of course we can add additional pockets or writing spots and different things like that. But because we also want this to be a bonus pocket in itself, I'm also going to just cut off a slither from the top of the envelope all the way across. You don't need to cut off too much, just a little bit. So when we fold that flip out back, this is where we're going to have a bonus pocket in the back there as well. So from here, what we're going to do is start covering up bits of our envelope before we glue any pockets down or anything. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to add a dab of glue just in the corner of this flap here, just to hold that in place. So when you're matting your papers onto your envelope, what we want to do for this side, because we want this whole back bit to be a pocket where we cut the top open there, you want to make sure that you're gluing your paper all along this part of the envelope, but you're not putting glue in there, because if you put glue in there, you're going to close up your pocket. So I'm using these pretty blue papers from the kit to go with my Bluebird project. So the first thing that I'm going to do is just cut a straight edge for myself. There we go. So what I'm aiming for is this part of the digital here. Basically, I want this part to be in the back there, like so. Now again, I don't do anything by measuring. I do things by eye. Again, if you are good with a tape measure, good with a ruler, you can go ahead and measure things. As many of you will know, I do not do measuring, because even if I do measure, I would get it in the wrong place. So when you're ready, we're going to glue our piece down. Now again, I'm just going to glue it down and cut around it. That's just how I do things. It's nice and easy for myself. So as I mentioned, we're going to put glue on this envelope part of the envelope. Okay, so all along there. But I'm not putting glue on the inside here. The only thing that I will do is just run a thin layer of glue just on the inside of this crease of the envelope here, where the flap is, and that will help us have a nice pocket in the back there. Okay, so just going to get the top of this paper, there we go, just in line with the top of the flap basically, and I'm just checking things over. Yeah, I'm all good in the right place. So I was just holding up the paper, the envelope, to the light so I could see, you know, where I was gluing things down. So that's what the back piece is going to look like. So I'm going to take a blunt pair of scissors and carefully, because I don't want to cut into the envelope, we're just going to carefully cut around this paper here. Of course, if you do measuring, you can go ahead and cut your pieces to size before gluing them down, but with a blunt pair of scissors this works quite well, and a slightly steady hand. Okay, so that's what we've got there. It seems a shame to cover up this pretty image there, but I am going to use some birds on the front, so I think it will work quite nicely. So now I'm going to cover up the flap of the envelope with this pretty blue piece. So again, easy does. I'm going to put some glue just on here, plonk the paper down, and then just cut around it. Okie dokie. So I'm going to use this straight edge, and I'm going to butt that up against the straight edge of this envelope. So we're not going over the envelope because we don't want to get in the way of our flip out piece. If anything, you want to come in just a teeny tiny little smidgen. So there's probably like, I don't know, 1/16 of an inch or something ridiculous like that, I've just come in slightly. But you're just using that straight part of the envelope to get this in the right place. And then we can cut around the flap of the envelope. Okay, just check things are looking relatively neat. Lovely. Don't throw this away. We can use this for something in a moment. So we've got our front piece covered up. So I'm going to keep matting the papers before we glue any pockets down or anything. Keep things nice and easy for ourselves. So I'm going to use this pretty striped paper for this piece. So again, you guessed it, I am going to put the glue on and then just cut around it. Really, really easy to do it this way, I think. If you don't mind, you know, taking a steady hand when you're cutting, if you don't mind that, then you know, this works very well. So I am just coming in just a tad from the edge there, just because I had a bit of a crease where I've been faffing around with trying to decide what project I was going to share with you today. I've done, you know, prototypes and all different types of things, trying to put it together, but it's a good indication as well that you can use scraps and things for this type of project too. You know, just as long as you've got the pieces that will fit. Okie dokie. So again, just following the envelope. I'm doing all the easy bits first, like so. Just follow that around. It's such pretty blues in the kit. As soon as I saw all the blue pages together, because the kit itself has lots of different colours in it, but I saw all these blue pages together and thought, well, that's me. That's what I'm gonna do, because I have been slowly building up some blue things to make some folios and journals and stuff with. Okay, what bits haven't we cut here? Okie dokie. Yeah, looks good there. Those pretty flowers as well. So let me put those to one side. And then the last bit, we don't need to cover the back of this because that's going to get glued down onto your page as your little tuck flip out piece. But we do want to cover the back of this. And for that, I was thinking I might use this pretty flower page. So I'm just going to cut a straight line for myself all the way down there. And I'm going to use that straight line basically to butt it up against this flip out piece. So again, we don't want to go over the crease because that will get in the way of how well this folds. But we do want to go, you know, butt up against it as best we can. I'm a broken record. You know what we're going to do. We're going to put glue on and just cut around. Easy peasy. But of course, if you do want to measure and map your papers and cut them down to size and all of that stuff before doing this part, by all means, please do that if that works for you. But gosh, it would be a nightmare if I tried that. Absolute nightmare. Okie dokie. So again, I'm just coming in just a smidgen because that's going to help that flip out lay nice and flat, like so. So just get that glued down nicely. Right then, final cutting around, and then we're in a position where everything's matted and we can go ahead and glue our pockets in and decorate and do all that fun stuff. So again, just be very conscious where you're cutting. I use blunt scissors, very blunt scissors for this, because then I don't risk cutting into the actual project. Okay, so that's how we're looking so far with all our papers matted on. So what I'm going to do, because I've been a little bit lazy with the gluing, I'm going to go around with my little nozzle and I'm just going to get all the bits that haven't yet glued down. So just check things are all glued down nicely. That'll be the final step there. So I'm going to go around and do that, and I will come back and we will pretty up this piece a bit more. So that's all of the gluing done. I've also just gone around and inked around the whole thing using some silver ink, just because I thought that would go nicely with the papers. Gives it a little bit of a glitz as well. And what I've also done is I noticed my envelope was a little bit sticky. So I've also put some tape just on the sticky edge so that that's not going to interfere with the pocket in any way. So if you do notice that, it's worth just covering up that side if you can. So let's go ahead and start putting in some pockets. So the first thing that I want to do is these sort of double pocket here on the side here. So what I'm going to do is just put some glue just along that tip, and then I'm going to use that as a marker to run some glue across the bottom here, just across the middle. So essentially we have a pocket there and a pocket there is what that's going to be like. So glue that into place, lovely. And then on the other side, I want to make this more obvious that I'm going to use this as a side tuck. So I'm going to add a thumb notch. Oops, that flicked up high, didn't it? In the side there, and just need to ink that again. Okie dokie. And then the only other little bit of gluing that I need to do is where we cut across the top of the envelope, we have this whole bit open. We don't need the top here of that's the flip out part. We don't need that open. So I'm just going to run some glue just on the inside there, just to close up that little flip out piece. So what you should have is this part of the envelope open at the front, and this part, this little flip out part hinge, that's closed up. And I potentially need to, yes, just go in here where I've added that little thumb notch. You could leave that open if you want, you know, a bonus skinny pocket. I just wouldn't cut the thumb notch into it. So you could have an even more pockets in this project if you wanted to, but I think I'm happy with the amount that I have. So we've got a pocket and a pocket. This is going to be our pocket. We can also add a pocket to here. So for that, I'm going to use this leftover piece. And the reason for that is the blues go nicely together. But you notice how we've cut out our envelope shape? That's already looking like something like a triangular pocket. So that's what inspired that. So what I want to do is just come in and just cut off the part that I don't need. Now, for me, this is only printed on paper. So what we can do is just fold this over just to double it up. Like so. And then I just need to tidy this part up. So it's a good use of your scraps as well. So I'm just going to follow that along and cut a triangle, and then just cut off that white border because I don't need that. Of course you can use, you know, the pockets from the kit if you want to. You don't have to make your own pocket. And then the only thing, I just want to cut off a little bit from the side there so it fits the width of my envelope. And I'm going to come in a little bit narrower because when I put this into place here, I don't want it interfering with the flip out. So it's going to be a little bit smaller than your envelope. But that will be like that on there. So we can now glue these pieces together. If you don't want to faff around with gluing stuff together like this, you could print this page onto some card. You could use the pockets from the kit or any other pockets you have. Or you could glue the paper onto something like book page or packaging or, you know, something like that. But I love using every little bit of a page. You know, if I'm going to print them out and use them, then yeah, I definitely want to use every little bit of it. So that's why I've chosen to do it this way. Okay, just quickly ink around that. And the reason that we folded it over is just to give it a little bit more thickness, a bit more sturdiness, so that we can, you know, pop a journal card or a tag or something into it. So for this pocket, I'm going to follow the long edge, the bottom edge, wibbly wobbly, and just that little straight edge there as well. And then I'm just going to, follow the straight lines of my envelope. There we go, lovely. So we now have our bonus pocket, which of course needs decorating, but we can come to that later. So that is essentially all of the pockets in now. So we've got the one at the top, we've got the two in the front. This part is going to be glued down top and bottom on the page, and then we've got this part at the back. So yeah, I've lost count how many pockets that is, but that's a few. So now we're in a position where we can go ahead and decorate. So I'm going to show you my plans for this. So on the front here, I'm going to use some pretty crochet. Basically, I just want to sort of cover up where, I don't know, just I like how it looks with, you know, additional trims and things. And I also want to cover up this part here where the envelope is joining, so it all looks cohesive. So grab my scissors. So I'm just going to cut just a couple of strips of this. It's got a nice scalloped edge on this one. And then I'm just going to follow just along the pocket, like so, just a couple of lines of the glue. And just going to go ahead and glue that into place. So I've just got a little bit extra here, so I'm just going to follow the envelope and just cut that down a bit. There we go. And then for this part, I'm going to run this the other way, something like that. These two joins will be hidden. I do have some ideas for how we can hide the two joins of these bits of crochet. Putting that the wrong way around. There we go. I'm going this way. That's it. Okay, now we just need to do a little bit of tidying up. So I'm just following the shape of my envelope as to where I'm going to cut the trim. Just cut off any bits that I can see hanging over, basically. Okay, and then I've just got this little bit there, so I'm just going to come in and chomp that off as well, because I don't need that there. Again, anything hinky will be hidden in this little section, so don't worry too much. Okay, those are all glued down. I've just added some trim to the back of that pocket as well. So now what I'm going to do is take a little bit of gauze, which I've just torn up so it's got this sort of like netting type look to it. And I've got a little bit of silver eyelash trim, again just for a little bit of sparkle. I've got some Tim Holtz ephemera, but you could use really anything, like a ticket shape, you know, anything really. And then this comes from the Digitals. It's the same sheet that this back piece came off of. I just tore around the bit that says bird notes, and it's got this really nice decorative font. So I'm going to use that to decorate the front here. So the first thing that I'm going to do is take some fabric glue and just dollop a smidgen just here where those two bits of crochet meet or overlap. So I can go ahead and just plonk my gauze down. And then this is where you might want to faff a little bit with how the gauze is going down, because we want it to be, you know, giving us a nice bit of texture. Okay, and same with the eyelash trim. So this piece I'm going to come over a little bit because I've only got a little bit of this, so I want this to be able to see it. Okay, gives it a little bit of almost like a wintry sparkle, isn't it? And then the Tim Holtz piece, or really any kind of ephemera, a ticket, just a little bit of scrap of paper even, just this sort of like rectangular shape. I'm just gluing it. I'm not gluing it the whole way down because I do want it to have this slightly 3D look to it, but I'm just gluing it on top of all of those trims and things. So it sort of like sticks up, you know, we've got a nice 3D look going on. And we're not interfering with the pockets too much. And then sort of same with this really. I want this to be slightly 3D, so I'm not going to glue the whole thing down. Just going to position it there. sure it's straight. Whoops. There we go. And once that's had a chance to grab and hold, that's going to look really nice like that, I think, just slightly 3D. Now I could potentially put a little bit of glue just on the edge here, just a little bit, but I kind of like that it's sticking up and giving us this sort of 3D effect really, so I think I'm okay with that. But then at this point you might want to just sort of faff around with the trims, just have them be how you want them, sort of like that slightly scrappy kind of look. So anything that you don't like or is in the wrong place, you can just come on and just, you know, trim bits off. As I say, have a little bit of a faff with it and you know, then you'll get it to the point that you like. There we are, I finished my faffing for now, but you know, that is essentially the project. So just as a reminder, we have a pocket here and a pocket here. So I imagine that I would slide in little pieces of ephemera or like rectangular journal cards, just little ones. We've got this great big pocket on the back here. Now you could do a thumb notch in the front here if you wanted to make this really obvious that it's a pocket. I'm choosing not to, partly because I like the design on the front, but also I like the idea of it being a secret pocket for just some extra writing space, like some extra paper or something. Okay, so if I demonstrate with how it works on the page, so we've got all of our pockets there. We've got our flip out here with our extra pocket. And then on the other side of the page, we would glue this top and bottom just here, so that you've then got this as your extra tuck spot, which also gives you the flip out option. So I hope you liked how the project turned out. I absolutely love it. It's going to go perfectly with my bluebird things. So that's where that's going to go. So yeah, I do really encourage you to check out the collaboration. All of the information, as I mentioned, will be down below. I also encourage you to check out Angela Kerr's video that inspired me to make this. It's one of her exciting envelope projects. She's got lots of them, so if you like envelopes as much as I do, you're going to find something on her channel. So again, I will link the original video down below, and all of the information about the collaboration will be in the description box in case you want to check out anything else. So I hope you've enjoyed watching my video. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed that, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Bye bye for now.